So what was revealed to me, I was doing these, I'm gonna frame it in AA tonight, the message. So I was doing these 4-step workshops in San Francisco for like 16 years, really, a long, long time. And so I read how it works like thousands of times, because that's where it's in. And I had seen this sentence thousands of times, but something had happened, and when I read the sentence, it revealed something totally different than I'd ever seen before. And it was right when they're going into the inventory process, page 64. Bill W. says, being convinced, which he uses that quite a lot in almost all the steps. It's always a state of being convinced is the requirement, because you have to be convinced of that first step, really. And it has to be a present tense convincing. It isn't like I was convinced or I'm going to be convinced. It's being convinced right now that what? That self, manifested in various ways, is what has defeated us. So Bill W. may have known it or didn't know it, didn't matter, because I don't see the book as written. It was more of a download to me, something. And he separates the two. He says, being convinced that self, manifested in various ways, has defeated us. We're the us, and then there's, let's say, a foreign installment, or Hal in 2001 running wild or something, yes? A failed GPS, something like that. We're all saddled with, and that is what has defeated us. And it separates us from that. Because if it was Paul defeated, let's say it could have been, all right, being convinced that Paul, Mary, and giving all the freaking names of every alcoholic, Paul, Mary, Jim, Steve, da-da-da-da-da, manifesting in a lot of ways defeated Paul, Mary, Steve, da-da-da-da. But it doesn't say that. It says Paul, Mary, Steve are contained in the statement us, and then self is a foreign installment. Yeah. This was the whole key, because I saw it as something other than me. And the next possibility that was always available, but not to me, appeared, which was, I can be free from it. Yeah. If it's not me, I can be free from it. And what it did is, that download revealed that I had been trying to be free as it most of my life. And the statement in recovery, which is one of the highest statements in all quote-unquote spirituality, self can't get out of self, totally explained basically my life from 6 years till that point. I had been trying to get out of self, but as a self. And it says very clearly, self can't get out of self. And I think this is what thwarts us completely, because it's not, I don't believe it's obsession with self is the root of the problem. I believe the mental state obsesses over self to reinforce the identification as a self. Yeah. It obsesses over self to reinforce the identification as a self. Yeah? So in my sense, the root of the problem is we're addicted to the mental state's act of being identified as a self, really. That's it. And in a way, it's sort of like if I had a rash and I didn't know what it was, but I thought I knew, so I bought psoriasis ointment, and I put it on this what I call psoriasis, and I didn't get relief. What would happen is I think I'm right, so I just pour more psoriasis ointment on it, and I just go into an ointment bath, and I'm telling myself it's going to work. It's not. Nothing is getting diminished. It's not taking the itch away, but I believe that it's psoriasis. But what would happen if I just got a couple of other ointments? Some for eczema, some for this, some for that. And I used them, and one took away the rash. All I need to do is read the ointment tin, and it says, for psoriasis or eczema, I had eczema. Why? Because I got relief from it. And by the relief, I knew it. Yeah? I said, this is the thing that works, this little ointment, because the others didn't. Yeah? I thought they were going to work. I believed they were going to work. I assumed they were going to work, but they didn't work. But once you get the relief, it tells you what the problem is. And to me, humbly, it's an act of being identified as a long-lasting, independent, separate, doer, thinker, haver, feeler, loser, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, yeah? It's that simple. And once that horse was finally put in front of the cart, a lot of things made sense. And in a way, it was like over time, I've realized it's been the last answer for me, because I haven't been motivated to look for any other answer ever since. And I don't look for a turbocharged edition of the answer or a radical extreme edition. It's just freedom from the bondage of self. And how it manifests as this action figure is that this action figure now, for a long period of time, has been traveling lighter. Yeah, so I have a large amount of time since this thing started to dawn on me to see the result in expression. And what it did is, I, as the head, yeah, people are getting lost. This is a very difficult place to find. Yeah, but I love having meetings like that. Yeah? So no one. So where was I?
Action figure.
Oh, the action figure. Yeah. So the action figure was hoping with this that everything was going to get great. Yeah, and I was going to get everything I wanted, and I'd have new joints and everything like that. But that didn't happen. Life kept happening. But what I realized is I started to travel lighter through whatever was in store for me as the action figure. And after years of traveling lighter over some rough terrain, some good times, this and that, I realized, what more did I ever want as this? Yeah. The thing is, you will get what you've been looking for by not looking for it. Yeah. It's not increasing your interest, it's a dispersion of your interest. Yeah. Your interest gets dispersed. It becomes more like a relaxed awareness, or like a panoramic setting on your camera. Yeah. Because you would think that your own vested interests would promote your ends, but they don't, yeah, in my experience, because any life run on self-will will hardly be a success. Yeah, it doesn't say any life run on will. It's anyone, because you're going to have will and it's going to run. But if self is what's before the will, if the self claims the will, you're going to be misdirected, incredibly so. It's just like that statement in AA: self-knowledge avails us nothing. It's an incredible statement, because a lot of us hold knowledge as a very high value. Yeah, but it says self-knowledge avails you nothing, but knowledge of self avails you quite a lot. If you could see if you could see what's being used to reinforce the idea of being a you, if you could see that would lead to a great value. You would lose interest in the thoughts and the feelings that are being claimed by the mental state to imply you're the thinker and the feeler. Yeah, the relief is at the thinker-feeler. Yeah. The difference between a thought and my thought is unbelievable. Yeah, it's just like if you have words up here: money, relationships, health. It would trigger a meaning to everyone based on what condition they think they're on. I will change the word, but by not changing any letter in it. Just put my money, my health, my relationships. It's totally different. You know, I want you to all have a lot of money, but I don't want you to have any of my money. Yeah? The my changes the meaning of what comes after it. What comes after it doesn't change its meaning. The my, we precede everything. The my is where the meaning gets injected into what comes in front of it. Yeah? So here, it's simple. I've seen it. I've seen alcoholism. I saw it. I saw it from head to toe. It's an activity. It's rooted in the mental state. It talks to you as you. Seemingly, that's it. That's why you're so keen on listening to it. If there was a little sign underneath the narration that it was Stanley, you wouldn't fucking listen to it for a minute. But because it's you, you've been paying attention to it for 40, 30, 50, 60 years. What's the difference? It's the same narration, has different nouns, but the same narration, but it's about you. It's the whole thing. The original addiction is the mental state's addiction to the idea of being a self. Yeah. What were we hoping for? When I shot coke, I was hoping to get out of self. That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to get not relief for me. I wanted to get relief from me. I wanted to get out of self, but I always got caught in the net of what we say in our community. Self can't get out of self. So how are we going to get relief from the bondage of self? It's like in the big book when they do the third step, which is the main principle of AA, yeah? Turning your will and your life over to the care of a power greater than self, basically. That's what it says. It doesn't necessarily mean God, just something greater than self, yeah, which I believe is us, really. Yeah. So it says, in this drama, that's going to be God's the principal, we're the children. But a paragraph before, and if you look at the 12 steps as a linear process, yeah. So first would be given more importance than next, right? So it says first you got to quit playing God, and then next in this drama of life, yeah. The first is, now what's playing God? You may say it's you. It's not you. It's the head, yeah. So in the head, when you wake up in the morning, the thoughts tell you all about the day you haven't even lived yet. It says you might as well fucking just stay in under the, it's gonna suck today. Or they're gonna find out I'm a fraud, or somehow or another. It's constantly forecasting shit. And we give life to it by believing it, basically. Yeah? So this, I keep losing myself here, which is wonderful. Really, it really is. Where was I just then?
Well, you were forecasting and you were saying self.
Oh, yeah. So that's the playing God. So it says you've got to quit playing God. But see, what happens is that which is playing God says it's the one that is hearing the message, you got to quit playing God. So that which is playing God now tries to quit playing God. Isn't that playing God? Ad infinitum? Try to get out of it that way. It's impossible. Once that thing starts, once the slinky moves, the once there, the next there. You can't stop it. Yeah, this is what happens. We're taking, when that voice that was going on in your head before you got sober sounds just like it did before. It's just talking more sophisticated or somehow or another, but it's the voice never got interrupted. The selfing has moved continually on, recovery, not recovery, because it will claim whatever's happening to us to imply that it's us. That's the bondage of self. It's an activity. No one has been bound to it. It's of it. It's different. Bound to it would be there's something called a self, a real thing, and then there's you as a real thing, and you're bound to it, like a chair and me. And some handcuffs come, and now I'm bound to the chair. It doesn't say bondage to self. It's bondage of self. It's an activity. It's not to self, it's of self. The bondage comes from self. Just like in old England, you would be like Steve, of Kent, yeah? So you would be a citizen of Kent. So bondage is of self. Without the selfing, there's no bondage. So the freedom is prior to the bondage. The real freedom is prior to it. The freedom that is sort of like the freedom of way most people seemingly do the third step, which is, I surrendered, I took it back. I've surrendered, I took it back. Yeah? That's not surrender. Surrender leads to surrendered. Yeah? So you're in a state of perpetually being convinced you're not managerial quality. It's quite clear, and it isn't up for like a 7-year review. So after 7 years, you can review and say, okay, I'm going to take on the mantle of managing. No, being convinced is a present tense state. I was really fortunate, man. Because I was struck sober. I was. Bottoms didn't do it for me. When I hit a bottom, I called it home, basically. I moved in, always living in this anxiety of being evicted because I was going to be. And so bottoms didn't do it, you know. But what happened was, it was a regular day at the office, 1988. At this point of my little career, oh man, I was so fucking angry because that which I had relied on hadn't worked. And the other thing is, I was in this predicament that I didn't have any money to do what I wanted, so I'd have to convince others to do what I wanted. And my batting average of success was going down precipitously every month because I wasn't looking too good. My charm has worn thin. So I was basically fucking drinking whatever I could until I maybe could get high. Yeah. And I was one pissed hombre. So it was a regular day at the office. I went out March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, and was no different than March 16th. I just remembered because there's a title to it. Just like a bottom. A bottom isn't like, the bottom is when you move away, basically. Because it was a huge bottom for years. I mean, you can't, oh, that's my bottom. My bottom stretched on for months. It was when it ended. It was when I moved away from it, and then you call it, oh, that was my bottom. My bottom was very long and drawn out. It was years of bottom. So this idea, oh, that was my bottom. No, that's when you moved up. Really. You know the bottom when you move away from it. If you're not moving away from it, it's life. Basically, right? I wasn't walking around every day, I'm on a bottom. No, I was fucking surviving, doing my shit, and everything like that. So, what happened, I went out, St. Patrick's Day, March 18th, I lost the car of my friend. March 19th, I broke the news to him. And March 20th was a blur. March 20, yeah, the 21st. I woke up in a trailer. I didn't wake up in a trailer park. I woke up in this town. No, I came to in a trailer next to this hang gliding park in Calistoga, California. And I was sitting with a guy I didn't know, and we were drinking a bottle of Royal Gate vodka. We're passing this cheap vodka about. I always like to make a joke about it because their customer service is quite contemporary. They realize their clientele, so they switched from glass to plastic. Because it used to ruin your night when it broke, but now it bounces back. The cheap vodka. So we were drinking this bottle of vodka, and I was just trying to hope to have someone else come by who we could talk into spending some money on some drugs, really. That was my drive. Because I had already parked at institution jails and death many times, and basically I had just spent 2 years in a program, and I left there, and I graduated with flying colors, and I was on a 10-month run after that. So I had given up all hope. All I wanted to do was stay as high as I could until the next jail, institution, or death, really. So I'm looking at him, and he has a big head, and he had a big nose and varicose veins, and I said to myself, this guy's a bum. But lo and behold, he was looking at me like I was a bum. And what happened is, I have no idea what happened. As a drawing, I could say it's almost like a portal opened up, and something came into me. And I don't like what the first step where it says you admit that you're powerless. That didn't work for me. I admitted I was an alcoholic and an addict many times to get alcohol and drugs. But I like the statement, there was an admittance to your innermost self. That's how it worked. Because so something bypassed my head and went somewhere I didn't even know, that maybe that unsuspected inner resource went there, and the being convinced was like a tattoo. It was stamped. And I just got that I was not managerial quality. And it was like a giant CNN news flash, just a headline, no story, and it was, I'm fucked, yeah? And yet, but it was a very relieving fucked. It really was. And so what happened is, information came through, and I decided to leave there, and I called up the program I had been in for 2 years, and I'd just been away 10 months, and I asked them if I could come back, and they said, no, you can't come back. You can come back in a month, and we'll interview you again and see if we want to take you or not. And with this download, honesty came in, and I said the first honest thing I'd said in 10 months, which is, I don't think I have a month, really. And so what occurred is I called this lady who I knew in San Francisco, and I must have sounded humble enough. And she decided to come and help me. It took an hour and a half to drive up there. In that hour and a half, I had a miraculous alcoholic recovery. I wanted to get loaded again. Totally forgot the moment of clarity. And yet I'm confronted with having no money. So I get in her car, I start trying to talk her into a 6-pack of talls, cop the cocaine, get the dirty magazine, rent the hotel room. She had followed that equation many times with me, hadn't been that satisfying for her. So she said, no, we're not doing that today, Paul. And she said, do you want a place to stay tonight? And that's what I wanted. And I said, yeah. And she says, you got to go to an AA meeting, which was an amazing progress, because the last time I was confronted with that question, I had to make a 2-year commitment to this program to let them have me stay. She said 1 hour. I said, far out. She brought me to my first meeting. I've never stopped going since, yeah. And the beautiful thing, I've never had a strong thought or a feeling about getting loaded or drinking for 30 years. So I'm a fortunate one. I probably, if I had a strong urge, I would have gone out, but I've never had a strong urge. You know, to me, that's the experience. That was the biggest demonstration in my life that something did for me what I could not do for myself. It did for me what my mother couldn't do for me, what my friends couldn't do for me, what the state couldn't do for me. Nothing, nobody, no human power could get me sober, but something got me sober. And then basically I felt the whole sobriety was downloaded, and then it's been playing itself out in 30 years, yeah, basically. That's how I felt. And so again, I think we all have enough information to recognize the real root of the problem. And again, I don't believe it's obsession with self. I think the head in the act of being identified as self has to reinforce it constantly, because it's not so. So it has to make it look like it seems to be so. And in AA, seemingly is a huge word. Remember that in the foreword, where it says, we are 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. A lot of times people share that and they drop out the seemingly. But the seemingly is the most important word, because it seemingly means it appears to be true or false to you, which is basically the state of perception. Everything is appearing to be true or false to us, yeah? And what happens is, when we're addicted to that self, we're getting a huge amount of false evidence presented to us, and because we take ourselves to be the presenter of it, there's easy to fall into, and it starts to appear real to us. And then decisions are made based on that imaginary situation, and then we do it, we follow that guidance, like it says, you made a decision based on self, that set off trains of circumstances that bring you misfortune you feel you don't deserve. That's exactly what it is. It's set up in the head because the disease is talking to us as us. I mean, you know what it's like to live under alcoholism. It's pretty hostile. Yeah? What host would ever allow a parasite like that to stay living on it? The host would immediately want to throw that parasite or if you painted it as a huge bug with tons of huge teeth, and that thing landed on you once, you'd be like this, and 800 times you'd be like that, yeah? So this parasite, and I see it as a mental parasite, alcoholism, this parasite has the greatest strategy. It convinces the host that it's the host. So you try to be free as that instead of from it, truly. Yeah. If that's corrected, the horse is in front of the cart, and now you start having the possibility of, understanding the word serenity, knowing peace. The problem does not exist for you anymore, which is a damn good fucking expression. You'll be placed in a position of neutrality with no thought or effort on your part. So your role has been over. Your role is over. When you get to that point, you're just basically expressing the effects of the mind change. Yeah, you have suddenly or slowly been moving away from trusting something finite, yeah, and then trusting something infinite, basically. So we're trusting the head, like unbelievably. It's like, I did a talk outside of Boston near Walden Pond, and we got there a little late, around 11 o'clock at night. It was a very rural area, and there was this railroad crossing, and there was a little hubbub going on. The cops were there, and these lights were going on, and it was a railroad crossing, and so we had to stop. And so the cop came over, and we said, "Hey, what happened?" And he says, "Oh, a lady was listening to her GPS. It told her to turn right, and she turned right onto the railroad tracks. And her faith in it was so strong, she went about 15 yards, hearing boom, 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 just because she had total faith in the GPS." That sounds like us.
It does sound like that.
We have a failed GPS in one's head. I believe so. I mean, its maps are like archaic. It has never really delivered the goods. It's, you punch in, "Oh, I'd like to be happy, joyous, and free tonight." Okay, go to the bar, have some drinks, shoot some pool, cop some coke, go out dancing, meet a girl, and then suddenly you're in 850 Bryant, the police station. What? That wasn't what I was planning. There was like a what? And then you get out of jail. The next night you do basically the same thing, and then you get arrested again, and you're surprised. But you've been listening to a failed system. Bill W. says it, read it or not, you know. In the fear inventory, he says, "Why are you in so much fear today?" It's a beautiful question. Because I swear we could have a 12-hour meeting if we told us why. But he goes right to the point. He says, isn't it because self-reliance has failed you? So we've been relying on a failed system, and we're showing the results. And those results produce an anxiety, an irritable restlessness, a discontent, so we want some immediate relief. And the alcoholic of my type, I'm willing to pay any consequence tomorrow not to feel uncomfortable now. And I'm usually feeling quite uncomfortable. So there you go. It's a recipe for disaster. And that's what happened with me. I started to drink. And as soon as I started to drink, I had a realization that I have magnetic appeal to people in uniform. As soon as I put drugs or alcohol on me, it's like my beacon is like a dog whistle to authorities. I swear. Now that same energy that's there, and it's potent, being directed by the higher power, I haven't gone to jail or anywhere for 30 freaking years. It's the same juice. It's what's directing it. If the head's directing it, I'm fucking in a lot of heavy consequences. I got run over twice in one night. Very difficult to do by a car. You couldn't plan on it. You couldn't pull it off. You just staged it. You couldn't. It's impossible. Yeah. So the energy, the whole point for me is there's juice here, and it could go one way or the other, and it's all about how it's being directed. Tell you the truth. And like in the Course in Miracles, if you've ever heard of it, they talk about the Holy Spirit as we talk about the higher power in a sense in AA. And the way I feel about it over all these years, it's sort of like the Holy Spirit or the higher power takes the same information that's being brought into by the brain and the interpretation, but it collates it completely different than the mental state. Yeah? And how you see it, you can see it in AA. The last few years before I came into AA, I could find no value in my life. When I went over months of living, all I did was take. Yeah? I saw no value in it. I came into AA, which is the greatest recycler. I submitted myself to the program, and it used the same minutia, the same fucking raw material, the same debris of my life, and turned it into an incredible asset. By being used to help other suffering alcoholics and addicts. I mean, how much more demonstration do you need that there's something afoot that is much, much wiser, much more far-sighted than our little myopic view of self-centeredness? And you know, everyone here in life, there's a done, and then for addicts, there's a done. Yeah, everyone's going to be done, but with an addict or an alcoholic, it's great if they're done before they're done. You know, they're done with the drinking and using so they can have a freaking life before they pass away. So, So what I did, what happened with me, as soon as I started that with the idea of self, because I had been introduced to other spirituality, I gave up all the seeking for what I am and all the wanting to have knowledge of what I am, and I realized the real value is to have knowledge of what you're not, so that you can recognize you're not that. Yeah? You can understand self. You cannot understand what you are. You cannot experience what you are. You cannot know what you are. But you can know what you're not. You experience what you're not all day. You can understand what you're not. And in so doing that, you get a sense of what you are. What we're attempting to do, we're trying to find ourselves from a false reference. If you just see the false reference, you'll see you never lost yourself. This is what happens not just in recovery, in all the spiritual groups. I speak at a lot of different spiritual groups. What you could basically boil it down to this statement. People are looking for what they are from what they're not. And at the exact same moment, if you just switcheroo, you could be seeing what you're not from what you are. Most of us are in self-centeredness, so we're looking for what we are, which is spirit or whatever, but we're looking from what we are from what we're not. Right underneath the what we're not, that's what we are. As St. Francis said, what's looking is what you're looking for. It didn't say who's looking, it said what's looking is what you're looking for. It didn't say what's looking is what you're looking for, and then 50-page of requirements for you to meet to become the you that you're looking for. It's the what's looking right now is what you and I are looking for. What's happening is we are mistaking it as us, and now we're looking for it outside. Instead of just, it's sort of like the first video we did of the sheep and lion. It's sort of like a lion, a young baby lion, and through circumstances its mother dies, and it sort of gets convinced that it's a sheep, and it moves into a sheep herd, and it tries to be the best sheep it can be, and it's listening to other people talk about being a sweater, and it's trying to buy. It doesn't really like grass, but it's chewing cud and everything, because it doesn't know any better. It thinks it's a sheep. Yeah? And then a lion comes in, and the old lion sees it and goes, what the hell? And so, because it's running away from the lion with the sheep, and he grabs the young lion, and the young lion rolls over and says, please, Mr. Lion, don't eat me, I'm a humble sheep. The old lion just drags it, takes its head, and brings it over to the watering hole, puts it over the water, they see the reflection, and bam-o, the young lion roars. He was capable of roaring for freaking years, but by being identified as a sheep, the only way it could entertain roaring is by taking roaring lessons. Because now the lion has seemingly been forgotten, and it's living as if it's a sheep, and it can get so weird, it will start looking to become a lion, become like a lion, all the while being a lion. That's it. That's what we're in, I humbly believe. I mean, that's what was revealed to me. Why is the statement self can't get out of self? Why is that? Why is it when you were a kid, I went to Catholic school, and we'd have at least a couple times a week, they'd go through the three main qualities of the God, which is it's omnipresent, it's all present everywhere. It's omnipotent, it's all powerful, and it's omniscient, it's all knowing. And really, even at that age, I'd say, well, why am I not running into it? Why am I not feeling this juice? I'm running into people I don't want to see, and I can't sense everything. What's the obscuring factor? It's us. We're up the ass of self. And we think a divine proctologist is going to pull us out. But you scurry right back up there, because the original addiction is the mental state addicted to the idea of being a body of someone. It loves it. That's why it'll put up with hell. If it can see itself as being right, it will put up with fucking hell. It has no desire to give up being right for happiness. You know how look, we had to get weaned off of that when we came in. People would say, do you want to be happy or right? How about both? No, you can't have it. You want to either be happy or right? Oh, well, let me see. I mean, because that's its value system. It doesn't give a shit about your well-being. It wants to use you for transportation. Alcoholism cannot pick up a drink. It cannot buy the alcohol. It has to convince you to do what it wants. And so it does by speaking to you as you. You believe they're your thoughts. You believe it's you talking to you up there. It's not true. That's where the relief is, and it ruined my fucking career as a circus speaker. It did, seriously. Because a lot of people aren't really interested in a solution. We used to have a story. I want to go to the Pooper Scooper story, one of my golden oldies from AA workshops. So there's a guy who has a beautiful house and a very beautiful lawn, yeah. And the lawn's a big thing in his life. He has weddings there. He plays lawn bowling, and he runs in every morning. He jumps off the porch without shoes and runs around in the morning dew, and he just loves it. And then one day he jumps off the porch and he lands in some shit, you know, and he smells it. It's sort of bad, so he walks around and there's more shit. So he goes back in the house, yeah, never not to wear, always have to wear shoes from then on, right? But he goes back in the house. He says, "I'll look at it in a few hours." So then he goes back out and it stinks and there's shit everywhere. So then he goes back in, pulls down the blinds, starts calling his friends, and he's bitching about it, and they're having the same problem, yeah. And so now he goes at Home Depot, he buys pictures of the Kentucky bluegrass and he puts them around and he reminisces, oh, those weddings and the lawn bowling, it was so great. And other people are having the same problem. They get together with meetings and they're all bitching about, oh, I had a beautiful lawn, it was such a part of now I can't use it all, it stinks to high heaven. And so some guy decides, hey, I was reading about this thing called a pooper scooper. And I said, oh, yeah. So this guy gets a pooper scooper and he starts picking up shit. And he decides to get two of them and he uses them both at the same time. And he gets to clear about a 2x6 foot piece for a couple hours. And he shares it with the people and everyone's getting excited and they start buying pooper scoopers and he becomes a circuit speaker and he goes around speaking about the value of pooper scooping and he has videos and everything like that. He writes a book about it and he has autographed pooper scoopers. They're all in his garage and he's selling them like hotcakes and he's going all over the place and now he thinks he has a solution. Yeah. I can pick up shit faster than anyone else. But there's still fucking shit. So then a guy comes and sees him, and he has like a jacket with Pooper Scooper Master, and I mean, he's quite invested. It's his identity now. So a character comes over and he says, "Hey, do you want an answer to your problem?" He goes, "What's problem? I have an answer." And the guy goes, "Okay." And as he's walking out, he goes, "Just find the dog." Find the dog. There won't be any shit. But the thing is, if you've taken yourself to be the dog, that's the last thing the dog wants to find out, is it's the dog. If you see it as something other than you, you'll recognize it. You do a 4-step inventory, and to me, the whole inventory is to see how self-defeated us. It's not about my resentments, it's resentments. The resentments are manifestation of self. If you follow the sentence, if you are a big book person, follow the freaking sentence. Being convinced that self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. And then if you're convinced of that, we will look at its common manifestations, meaning selves. And then the next paragraph is resentment. It's the #1 offender. Resentment is a manifestation of self, not yours. You're in the act of being identified as self when the self's manifestations, as they move through, you call them yours. That's the act of being identified as self. That's the bondage of self. Resentment and your resentment is totally different. Your resentment has been fueled for 40 fucking years. You've been milking it like a golden calf. So you do an inventory process, you write down resentments, fears, and how you harm people in the pursuit of what you wanted, looking at sex basically. And then you see the patterns of how self has defeated you, not your fucking patterns. Your patterns haven't surfaced in so long. They've been held down, they've been distorted, they've been eclipsed by the patterns of self. I see it, man. I'm 30 years. I've worked with a lot of people. We're overmatched, first of all. This parasite will play us around like a orca does with a seal. The parasite, the only thing it respects is a power greater than it. And right now, you're not up to the task. It's got you. You're under its spell. But if you introduce the spirit, which is you in disguise, I feel, yeah? If you introduce that, then that little dog that's been masquerading as the big dog, as soon as the big dog is introduced to the situation, the little dog will fucking roll over, yeah? And you'll have a freedom from the bondage of self. And then that experience of the problem doesn't exist for you will stabilize because the problem will not exist as you anymore. That's the real key. If it's from you, the you is still infected, so it'll only be an experience every once in a while. If it's as you, it'll stabilize. Your freedom will stabilize because you've gotten the correct, you've recognized it, you've got down to the exact nature of the wrong. The exact nature of the wrong is identification. Maybe you'll believe you, maybe you won't, I don't care. I just know that it's true for me. And I really believe I find it a great privilege after I get over all the freaking driving I've been doing. I find it a great privilege to share it with my tribe because, it's really, it kind of continually has delivered the goods for me. And I really believe, see, it says when we come in AA, it says a lot of suggestions, but what happens after you follow the suggestions? I want to hear about that too. There's a freedom, yeah? What happens if the actions that secure your recovery turn into habits, which are actions without thought? So you do not want to have the problem have any say in the solution. So I don't think about going to an AA meeting, I think about which one. I'm in the habit, yeah, as this action figure. Now what I am is untouched by all the activity that ever happened here. But also when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do, you have to render unto Caesar what Caesar's. It's like if someone who's a diabetic woke up, they would still shoot insulin, yeah? A lot of people in AA are hearing about this thing called non-duality, and the mental state claims it and says, oh, I'm not a self, so why do I need to do the steps? And they end up drunk non-dualists, really. Yeah. I've seen it over and over again. The mental state is just looking for a fucking advantage. It wants to get something out of it. And what's beautiful about this idea of non-duality, which I would believe if the trajectory of relief in AA will bring you to the starting point. It will look like you took a long time, but you'll go back to your innate sense of what you are. The closest you ever got to it was when you were a kid. Yeah? Because when you were a kid, time hadn't set up yet, so when you were playing, at least when I wasn't worrying, will I be playing next week? Because I had no idea of next week. Yeah? And I wasn't asking my mother to come in my room and go over my playing with Wayne Griffith and see who was doing better. And should I go to playing lessons, No. I wasn't thinking my room was too small or I should have gap closed. None of that was happening. We grew into it all. Like it says in the book, we grew into fear. You will outgrow fear. That means you must have grown into it. Fear is not our natural basic state. And what most people are experiencing all day isn't fear, it's mimicking fear, it's mental anxiety. It's produced by the mental anxiety that has total faith in what's not happening. We are so powerful without knowing it, and that power is being misdirected. That same power, let's say, that Jesus used to raise Lazarus from the dead, at least Lazarus was alive, we're making shit out of nothing all the time. Our vacation can be ruined by a thought about next week. This whole day in Encinitas could have been ruined by a feeling that was misinterpreted. It's insane how much juice we got, and it's just being fucking misdirected and used for other purpose we're not even conscious of. Yeah. When you recognize how powerful this is, and you realize you're not up to the task, you're not managerial quality, when you surrender, that light will be directed. And you know what? I don't believe AA for me wasn't about me changing anything. I submitted to being changed in the program. That's exactly what's happened. I've submitted to being changed, because I could change how I'm feeling this second. But what happens with AA, the change AA produces is directed, so it's growth, yeah? And so you're always constantly growing towards the sunlight of the Spirit, not because of our natural thing, because that's been mutated. Self-centeredness just wants to take everything back, like this. You know, everything. Where this, put it this way, yeah? And what happens? You become of maximum use to yourself and others. Yeah, this is the story of an action figure. What you are is untouched. Yeah. But in AA, I can be helpful. In non-duality, help isn't important to me. Actually, it's a disservice. You want to leave everyone with their own devices in non-duality to see what you're not. But in AA, you can be helpful. And I'll tell you something. The only reason why you're bound by the thoughts is that they're held as yours, really. You have a huge role here, huge role. And it says, you know, faith. I always like to talk about faith, because I believe this event right now, how everything is right now, is based on faith, a big mind, yeah? If you have faith in the thought system, it's going to produce tons of anxiety from an imaginary field called what's not happening. And you're going to be smoking it up all fucking day. Yeah? That same faith, if well directed, would allow an ease and comfort to be stabilized. You would realize you're not going to make any effort to get into the moment. You realize it's impossible to be out of a moment. It's pretty nice. And then conversely, you don't spend any time trying to get out of self. You realize you were never in self. Yeah. So you stop trying to get into what you can't be out of, and you stop trying to get out of what you can't be in. Just a switcheroo, it works. Yeah, so I'm not going to go into we'll just speak about this. But you can feel it. You can feel, yeah, that's the key. And I just love AA, because AA is one of the clearest descriptions of what we're not, but most of us just don't see it that way. We still think they're talking about ego or stuff. It's not ego, because the sense of self isn't ego, because the sense of self thinks it has an ego or it can lose an ego. What's that feeling of being the one who has an ego or lose the ego? That's the self. The sense of being the doer, the sense that arises when thoughts are claimed to be yours, a feeling of being the thinker. Yeah, that assumption that we live on, that I'm the doer, the thinker, the seer, the feeler, the taster, the toucher, but we're not. They're seeing. The eye does not see. The eye facilitates seeing. The ear doesn't hear a fucking thing. It facilitates hearing. What's hearing it is what you want to call it spirit or consciousness or the animating principle, but it's not the body. The body is doesn't exist without spirit in it, without animation. So And that's where we all meet. We're all in the act of seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching right now, and none of us, it's not taking any effort, is it? You were seeing on the worst day you ever had just as much as you were seeing on the best day you have. There's no volition to the seeing. If your eyes are open, you're going to see what's there. You could have made a vow for 30 years. I'm not going to see a bird, and then if you look out that window, a bird flies, you're going to see it. You got no say in the matter. That basis, that's all of us. That same consciousness is moving through all of us, and there's no difference in that. The difference is geometrically progress in the dream of separation, but if you take it back, there's nothing. The baseline is we're all that. We're all no thing. Yeah. There isn't a who that's looking, there's what's looking, which is not of thingness. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, for me, it just became the last answer. Yeah. And I find in my own community, not many people see the inventory process as recognizing the manifestations are of self, not of you. Because I find it's much easier to get rid of resentment than my resentment. It really is. You see value in a resentment if it's yours. If you just see it as resentment, you see it as a poison that it is. Yeah? But if it's your resentment, it has a value to the mental state. It gives it a justification. It gives us an excuse. It gives it a chance to blame someone else for its own failures. The failed system has never brought you what it's promised: happy, joyous, and freedom. And it never will. It's a failed fucking system. Perhaps there's a better way, trusting something infinite rather than finite self. Yeah. So yeah, that's it, I guess. Any questions? Yeah.
So you know how like in the book where it says what we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. So if we're just reverting back to the freedom that existed prior to all this insanity, you know, is it, I mean, do we have to like continue to babysit it?
No.
Until, or do we just realize it and then that's the end of it? And then just enjoy.
Well, those are two poles. My feeling is this. What would be the greatest form of maintenance of a spiritual condition would be a spiritual condition. So if you see what you're not, that you're not a body, the failback position is spirit. And so being spirit is the highest form of maintenance of a spiritual condition. And it's also the least amount of work. Being there's no sweating being something. It's when you're trying to do yourself or have yourself into something. That's where there's a lot of work, yeah? So in the beginning of AA, you have to do the actions to create the right thinking. You can't think yourself in the right actions. And it has its very important role because at that point, we're a complete citizen of Rome. We take ourselves to be this completely, yeah? But if you watch the change in the flavor of the results in the book, you'll see it. Like, you see the evolution of the relief, which is it gets to a point where all this is happening through you with no thought or effort by you, yeah? So you've submitted to be changed, and change you will. And after a while, you know, that progression would be you work the steps, and they start working you, and then you are that, yeah? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a phase. Now, some people swear that phase continues on and on. I don't believe it does, humbly. And when I hear people share only based on that, I sometimes will share and go, hey, wait a minute. I've been taking these suggestions 30 years, and this is the easier, softer way. I'm not being vigilant. Why do I have to observe myself? Well, I'm not burning houses down, ripping things off. I'm like grazing in the same little patch of field every day. The surveillance cameras would turn off from boredom, basically. When I needed to be highly observant when I was out there, I wasn't. Now that I don't need to be highly observant, now I've got to go over every minutia. I don't like, some people overdo it. I have sponsees, I had to fucking knock the pen out of their hands because they just kept wanting to take inventory and they weren't enjoying the fucking fruits of freedom that the program offers. This isn't about managing. That would be a self-help program.
Talk more on that, would you? Talk more on that.
See, this is what happens, all right? So here I'm at a meeting, and so someone shares something about our alcoholism. It hits me in a sense, yeah? So this is now 30 years. So what happens? If it resonates, hey, that's familiar to me, I do step 6 and 7 right there. I say, hey, I'm entirely ready. I don't start out, all right, I gotta go to a seminar and do that. I just go, hey, I'm entirely ready to have this little pride that this person was talking about, because it seems to have, it's still in the, the action figure. I go, hey, and especially in meetings, there's a lot juice there. I go, hey, I'm entirely ready to have this, meaning that which is presented right now, not a forensic unit, but when it's coming out of the oven, hey, I'm entirely ready to have this removed, and then I ask it to remove it. I don't go and work on it. I don't. It's sort of like putting out the garbage. I have faith the garbage will be taken. I don't sit up all night looking at, where's the garbage man? Where's the garbage man? I do what I'm told to do. I put it out, and then I have a great assurance, because it has worked, that it will be removed. To me, when I go, I'm entirely ready to have it removed, I don't use the word remove, I say reconfigure, because it's all energy. So basically, energy is like knotted in a certain way, it doesn't work anymore, so I ask that power to reconfigure it. Let it be more useful, And that's what I do. Simple as that. If I need to make an amend, I make the amend. There's not much to think about it,
I think, therefore I am, was that the initial self-awareness?
Yes, that was one of the biggest mistakes in this world. Descartes. I think, therefore I am. I am, therefore there's thought. Would be better. And not yours. Yeah, he made a big boo-boo, I think. It fucked a lot of people up. Since the Enlightenment. Really?
I mean, that's the biggest thing, just from listening to you. I got a lot of work to do on just self, because, growing up knowing ourselves, we have our own talents, our own brain, the way all our brains are different, and wired differently. We all have different skill sets and everything like that. And I'm having a hard time just, well, that is me. I see it, what the benefit is when there's a problem, how you can separate yourself from it, but I still kind of want to hold on to my uniqueness, I guess.
You won't have to. You'll still be unique. The holding on is just another way. See, the self, humbly, doesn't exist. There isn't a thing that's conscious. There's consciousness of things, yeah? Consciousness may be moving through a thing, but the thing isn't conscious. I had a very direct hit of it when I was 9 years old. I had an Uncle Fred who I'd see at the relatives' parties for years, and he'd give me money behind his back so my mother wouldn't see it. And so, of course, I liked him. And then he passed away, 9 years, and so my mother took me to the wake, the funeral. And we were sitting in the front row, and my mom says, do you want to say goodbye to Uncle Fred? I wasn't that keen on it, but she grabbed my hand, she brought me over to the casket, and I looked in, and I had a direct hit at that young age. That ain't Uncle Fred. Yeah, there was the body I was calling Uncle Fred, but without the animating principle, it was obvious that body wasn't Uncle Fred. Yeah, and then I realized later on in hindsight that the reason why I was mistaking the spirit for the body, because I was in that mistaking the spirit for the body. Yeah, As simple as that. So, but I saw the body, and it wasn't Uncle Fred. Yeah, just like your eye, you think you're seeing, it's you doing it. I mean, you couldn't come even close to doing seeing. I swear to God. But, there's such an assumption. The language is the big hypnotism every day, because it's a language spoken by objects, a subjective language spoken by objects. So the language is constantly implying we have a lot to do with shit we have nothing to do with. Just like the simple example, 3-4 years ago, I'm in the ocean surfing and the knee went out, yeah? Now, when I would tell people what happened, I'd say, oh, I hurt my knee. Sort of sound like I went out in the water with a hammer and fucking banged it. But no, basically I became aware that the knee went out when it got out. I had no role in hurting my knee. Yeah, but the language sounds like I hurt my knee, or I should have. No, it's all fucking. This is how it gets a sense of being from you. All actions are happening, thoughts are happening, feelings are happening. All this is happening. Life is happening, but it's not happening to you. That's the story. When we were kids, a lot of us were in the event life's happening. Then we grew into a narration of life's happening to me. That's self-centeredness. That's the whole basis of self-centeredness, is you see everything as how it pertains to you. That's it. That's the myopicness of the disease. And in that little tunnel vision, the parasite has a huge sway. Because now it will grow into an incredible sense of terminal uniqueness, where you will think no one understands you, no one can feel like you do, no one's done the heinous things you've done. And basically, you're like the chocolate in an M&M. You can't fucking get out. Yeah? And therefore, all you got is to be right in there. This is what happens. It's a takeover. It's simple as that. And yet, what's being taken over, the solution, like in AA, it says that we are the problem. And the only way we could also be the solution is that it's the act of being identified. The solution is in the act of being identified as the problem. That's the correction, really. You're the thief and you're the policeman. You're both. Yeah, so.
I had a similar experience to your Uncle Fred about a year ago when my father died. And I thought, well, I was trying to bring on the grieving process.
Yeah.
Get it over with. Right?
Yeah.
No, but I went to go see his corpse. And I remembered thinking, oh God, if that's not proof we're not the body, I don't know what is.
Yeah, for sure. Well, to me, they're good, well, whatever. It doesn't mean you hate the body. It doesn't mean any of that.
Mm-hmm.
See, all this is happening. It's the idea that it's happening as you, through you, by you, for you, is off. It's just that simple. You end up living a narration, and then you're not living life. You're waiting for the head to tell you what's happened.
Can you explain how, like, all right, like this doesn't exist?
No, I don't want to explain that.
Okay.
No.
Can you answer one more question? And I'll stop.
Yeah.
I've never had a alcohol or drug addiction, but food
Yeah, sure.
has been my addiction, specifically sugar.
Yeah.
And certain carbs, and so I've had I don't know, I'm coming to understand non-duality, but like I think you said that you could be a non-dual alcoholic, and maybe I'm a non-dual food addict. But are there? Because I've heard that the 12-step thing for Overeaters Anonymous is just not as successful as AA, because you don't have to drink, but you do have to eat. I don't have to eat M&Ms, but
yeah. Well, see, I never had that, so I can't really speak on it.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a food problem thing, but I imagine it's difficult because you have to eat food.
Yeah.
And then your mind could have a field day about how much and what of that, To me, the great gift in AA is abstinence. When you have an abstinence is an incredible space, really. A lot in the space of abstinence where you're not thinking or having it doesn't have, the problem does not exist for you anymore, and you're not revisiting it every day because you don't eat it. You don't need it like food, you know. So you just don't touch it again, you know, a day at a time. So I don't know what it's like with the food thing. It must be, you know. But I imagine the same principles will work.
You know, when non-veggers say, can't you just moderate it? When they talk, you know, when people who are not alcoholic, talking to an alcoholic, can't you just have a couple beers, or can't you just moderate it?
Yeah.
That's how it would be with food. I mean, right? I mean, I can see how that would be really difficult, yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Paul, can you talk about your involvement, your personal involvement with the 11th?
Oh, you mean the history of it?
Well, your practice of it.
Well, my practice, I don't practice it really. I don't, though I sat and meditated today at the Self-Realization Fellowship in Encinitas with my host. It was lovely. And I do a lot of it, but I don't call it meditation. But I don't do any prayer for a long time now. If I did one, it would be what I share with newcomers is I say, if I had any prayer, I would pray for the ability to be convinced. That's what I would pray, because I see most of the time there's a withholding, there's not a complete clarity on the first step. And that always is like a ghost that haunts you. You still think you got some play left, you know. Yeah, so I don't know, I don't suggest people, because this isn't something I did, I just grew this way. But I did the first year, 5 years, I did a prayer every morning, no matter where I was. Because the worst time when I was new was when I woke up in the morning. I was in a lot of anxiety because I felt I was under the old managerial team. And I was fucking scared shit of another fucking hectic day. So what I would do is I'd combine the first three steps. And I'd say, my name is Paul, I'm an alcoholic and addict. I'm powerless over alcohol and I cannot manage my own life. A power greater than myself can restore me to sanity and make a decision to turn my whole life over to that thing for 5 years religiously, and then it just stopped one day. Because I really think prayer is almost like a substitute for faith in a sense. When the faith is established, there's a knowing that everything is in good hands. It doesn't need your 2 cents, yes, in my view. So, but it matters, it's important to see where you're at, whatever that is, yeah? Because it's sort of like with a lot of spirituality, with non-duality would be, so let's say your house is on fire, basically, and then you hear the philosophy of non-duality, which be, there is no house and there's no fire. That doesn't fucking work. What you need is a pail of water, yes? So you have to see where you seem to be. It's not you anyway. And then hopefully have the appropriate response. A philosophy isn't going to work. I've met a lot of Buddhists who try to replace AA with Buddhism and they're drunk Buddhists. Really, that's my view. So, and I don't like synthesizing stuff. I don't want a Buddhist AA thing. I just like to have it, the 12 steps on its own.
It's like a philosophical selfing, huh?
Yeah, I find. So, I don't know, you find your own way, you get guidance, a lot of mentoring in AA, sponsors, and then, but the thing is, how it is and how you feel now isn't going to be a way you're going to feel 7 years from now.
That was my next question, is how the transformation has happened. It's already happened. Now, the length of time while it's happening and the awareness of something else, witnessing the mind or the self. And I think I heard you say one time that it was almost like a comedy show to you.
Now, yes.
Like dictating things, and that separation of awareness, does it grow as you?
Totally.
As you
for
were
sure.
in the process of it.
For sure.
And that question was pertaining more, not more, but just in addition to the 11th step question.
For sure, because for me, the head, the radio station, K-Paul, was a news station. There's always a lot of headlines, a lot of news, a lot of forecasting. And now it's seen as Comedy Central, like the Daily Show or the Colbert Show. It's commenting on what was once taken to be news. Like all the pundits, you know, the punditry up there. I know you're going to be fucked, Paul. You were once fucked, you're going to be fucked again. So fuck it. And, you know, and to me, surrender in alcoholics, in the alcoholism, it has an idea of surrender, and it's fuck it. It wants to lead us to fuck it. And because if you arrive at fuck it, you're apt to do almost anything, and it will give you some suggestions. It will. So it may happen quickly, sometimes has to work on you a while, but it wants to lead you with a lot of false evidence appearing real to a conclusion that's not based on fact, but as soon as you act out, there's going to be consequences. This world, these aren't henna tattoos, they have last. See, if I have a girlfriend and I hate her many times, but I never said it, you know, nothing really got disturbed, but that one time I say it, I hate you, yeah? I go get loaded or go drink, but, you know, and I think everything's over, but now she hasn't forgotten, and all her friends that she called up to haven't forgotten, and now I'm tattooed by that statement because it came out of here. You have to realize the thoughts are constant. They're like a dog that wants to get out. And here in manifestation, they want to get out. And they want to fucking lay a shit or bite something. They want to create an effect. So the thoughts are constantly attempting to convince you to follow through on their suggestion. Once they can come out and have an effect, you may get a 20-year prison sentence. You may have a ruined relationship. You may get run over twice by one car, or by the same car one night, and have that effect last the rest of your life. This is what happens. The thoughts are like trying to bubble up to the surface, and they want to pop, and you're gonna be the result of the pop. They are, and they're fucking. There's some oomph, yes. And if you are taking them to be yours, and you're in the habit of you're firm in faith in them, you're apt to give them fucking carte blanche, and you're going to be tattooed by their results. And some people I visited in San Quentin, they killed someone in a blackout, and the rest of their life is based on that event. They can't even remember. You know what I mean? They may have thought, I want to shoot that motherfucker hundreds of times, but that one night they did, and look at the effect. You're not going to make friends with the parasite. It's not going to be socialized or become a pet. It may act like it's domesticated, but it's going to take a big fucking piece of your ass out sooner or later. It will. Look at it. I see my first fairy princess in AA. Met her when it was like a marriage made in AA. I was 6 months sober, she was 3 months sober. We are both incapable of having a viable relationship. We gave it a good shot. But I had a great fondness for her. For all ever. And so she was sober, and she wrote books, and she had tons of sponsees and everything. She was a big woman in AA in San Francisco. And then 21 years, she had a secretary thing, and she decided she would drink and yet keep her commitment. Yeah? Didn't tell anybody. Started having some wine. And then the wine had her. And then she, for the next 8 years, maybe you're 9 now because I'm 30. Next 8 years, she went in and out of our program. She couldn't get it. She, and her belief may have been, I can get loaded and AA will be the same. And that was correct, but she wasn't the same. That thing that had been put to abeyance was alive again, and it wanted her for transportation. And for 8 years, and we just went to her memorial about 5 months ago, her parents, who I knew, and her sisters, who I knew, they were all fucking happy it was over, really. It was like a hell for 8 years. She went to Meadows in Arizona, all the high-enders. She had sober friends, and so this and that. Fucking nothing ever worked. Yeah, she killed herself. Yeah, and everyone was fucking relieved, really. That's what can possibly happen. Yeah. If you're dictated by the thoughts can turn really fucking nasty at any given moment. And if they've been walking in and out, you're going to be very difficult to bar the door. If you see they're not yours, you'll get space between you and them. And because you are before thoughts, you're not something to be thought about. You cannot be thought about as your own nature. It's spirit. You cast as a body can be thought about all fucking day. That's what the mental state does. The mental state uses remembering. It remembers you as a body in the past. It worries about you as a body in the future. And then therefore it says you're a body now. It can't get to you're a body now because you're not. It gets to it by you were a body, you will be a body, therefore you're a body now. It's a fucking robbery. Now it takes your place, and it's like living behind the 8 ball, basically. Yeah. I try to make it seem malicious and stuff, only to paint a picture. It isn't. It's like the blood stream. It's like the pumping of the heart. The brain has an idea, which is self, and it's interpreting life according to that idea. So everything that's happening, it's claiming and using to reinforce the idea it's happening to you. It's just the way maybe it helped you to survive in the fucking on the savannas in prehistoric time, but we're most of us on a level of living. We're over survival, yes? But the anxiety most of us live under is a total demonstration of a distorted thing of being a life or death situation. We're having earth-shattering situations and the earth never shatters. People are totally flipped out about getting their 4th house. They're having the same anxiety the person who's looking for a cardboard box has based on their 4th house. It has nothing to do with the circumstances. The mind is just fucking going off, producing tons of anxiety. It's like, can you imagine if you had fear, like a shot of fear every minute, like a buzzer? You'd be fucking a mess. Well, you're getting that. The mental state is mimicking the physiological effects of fear with shit that's not happening. We're fucking just shocked. We're in like shock therapy all day. Of course you want to get loaded or watch fucking Die Hard 12 or something. I gotta be entertained. I can't take it. I can't take being here. Yeah. But that here you can't take being is a mental here. The real here is the solution. Yeah. But see, the mental here makes you want to get out of it as much as possible. So the mental state has you looking for a solution, but it drives you from the solution. It sends you on a wild goose chase. And after it finally goes all around and you end up exactly where you've always been and you realize this is what I've always been looking for and it's always been this way, nothing ever happened to ever change it, that's a fucking incredible event. You see the purposelessness of the fucking selfing. It just wants to see everything as a mirror reflection. It's like a mobile Narcissus in the pond. It's just absorbed in itself. And now it's technology. Look at it. My girlfriend has kids, and I haven't had much contact with them, but man, the best sedative is the iPad. You put them, give them the iPad, they're on their games, you could they're just gone. I mean, and they're like addicts. As soon as you wake up, can I use your iPad? It's like someone knocking on your door asking for Coke at 3 a.m. They're like little kids now. They're just totally sucked into fucking technology. I mean, I can't imagine what's going to happen down the road. Whoa. So, yeah. Hey, that's it, I think. Yes? Hey, yes, thank you.